The budget cap saga that is currently going over the F1 community is something that has had teams like Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren upset. It goes without saying that Red Bull broke the sacred rule that was supposed to keep racing closer, and given the fact that they won the 2021 championship in a controversial manner, definitely doesn't help them at all. New, unexpected information has surfaced regarding the breach. This information gives us a better understanding of what actually happened, and it's not what people would expect. So what does Red Bull hide from us? What are the repercussions that they are going to face? And more importantly, what does Mercedes threaten to do if the FIA's punishment is a financial one? Let's find out. The budget cap was introduced in 2021 in order to bring racing closer by limiting the top teams from spending as much money as they possibly could. Already in 2021, did we hear reports from teams approaching the budget limit, which directly affected the development rate. However, where the F1 started with a budget cap of $145 million, they are now reducing it every year. In fact, the FIA is reducing the budget by $5 million per season in 2023, the same as they did for the 2022 season. This should force teams to be more innovative with fewer funds in their bank accounts. However, the economic impact of the Russian invasion, as well as the COVID-19 pandemic, forced the FIA to increase the budget cap by 3.1% for 2022 to battle inflation and the rising cost of logistics. Nevertheless, Red Bull has been found guilty of breaching the budget cap in 2021, which was $145 million. According to the FIA, the budget cap breach is considered a minor one, meaning that the Austrian team didn't spend more than $7.25 million over the allowed $145 million. This doesn't sit well with Mercedes and all of Red Bull's rivals, and according to Hamilton, one floor that would have cost Mercedes $300,000 would have contributed to a different outcome of the 2021 championship. So, how much money did Red Bull overspend? According to rumors, the number is between $1 and $2 million and is mainly caused by a bookkeeping difference in sick pay and catering. If this is the case, then Red Bull's penalty is going to be a minor one. But according to Auto, Motor und Sport, Red Bull breached the gap for a different reason. None other than top engineer Adrian Newey is now to blame. The brilliant mind of Newey seems to have taken a brilliant amount of money in the 2021 season for designing the masterpiece that won the Drivers' Championship. But wasn't Newey one of the top 3 highest paid employees and therefore exempt to the budget cap rule? Apart from Auto, Motor und Sport, the Dutch broadcaster Ziggo has joined the chat when it comes to Adrian Newey and the budget cap breach, as they released a statement that said, "Newey is one of the team's highest paid employees, and there is some debate as to whether he is a Red Bull employee or if the contract is with Adrian's company. Red Bull claims that he works directly for the team, so according to the rules, he is not included in the spending limit." The FIA does not agree with this, as he is engaged via his firm, and this means he does not fall under the exceptions to the limit. This could be the main reason why the FIA delayed the announcement for a whole week, something that really grinded the gears with Mercedes executives. According to Wolff, the FIA is trying to hide some stuff and is working behind closed doors with Red Bull in order to make everything look smooth and proper. Now, if this is the case, it seems like Red Bull have found themselves in a very tricky situation. There are many discussions going on as to what the penalty for the Austrian team should be. Mercedes fans are embittered by the fact that their team's main rival have cheated their way to the Drivers' Championship, and they still cannot process the 2021 Abu Dhabi GP. On top of that, they have to live with the fact that the Austrian team broke the rule that their team was, according to Wolff, so careful and respectful of. Mercedes isn't the only team that is throwing shots at Red Bull's budget cap breach. Bernie Ecclestone, who has been historically close to Red Bull, spoke about the situation and said that the penalty will be much worse than a fine. Many reports suggest that Red Bull will be fined 5 times the amount of breach they've caused in 2021, and that is something that doesn't sit right with Mercedes. According to Toto Wolff, the Brackley-based team is ready to commit a massive breach in the 2023 season in order to bring themselves back to the top spot on the podium and then be fined properly for it. If this is the case, it's very likely that many teams on the grid will follow the examples of Mercedes, because it just goes to show that everybody can break the budget cap without thinking too much about the repercussions. Corriere dello Sport were the first ones that shared Wolff's opinion on this matter, as they wrote, "If Red Bull had gone behind by $2 million, it could close the matter by paying the FIA 5 times, so $10 million. And in any case, it would not be fair because it would sanction the right to cheat by paying an amnesty. Mercedes have already talked about it, and if this were really the point of failure, the star is ready to plan extra budget and related fine to recover performance and return to the top. Moreover, Zak Brown, CEO of McLaren, has taken a dig at Red Bull, urging the FIA to do the right thing when it comes to bringing this whole case to the daylight. However, he was also very praising for the way the FIA is solving the case as of now, stressing that transparency isn't always a good thing, and sometimes it can bring more bad than good to the case. I think it's now all about how the FIA handles it moving forward. Everyone's kind of like, well, they haven't had transparency, but it's not over yet. I think we can't judge them on their transparency. It was good that they said it's not coming on Wednesday, it will come on Monday. They were clear. Transparency doesn't necessarily mean I give you all the answers tomorrow. It's I give you visibility of what's coming. I think we're not done yet, so I think it's too early to judge them until we see the final results. Bottom line is, we had a dry run for a year. The FIA have been unbelievably collaborative, communicative, and clear. And if anything was unclear, then the obligation was on the teams to ask. The FIA have done a really good job on the cost cap, and you can go to them and ask them anything. Is this included? Is this not included? And when you go over budget, you go over budget, so it needs to be dealt with swiftly and transparently, wrote Brown in a leaked letter to Ben Sulayem, the president of the FIA. According to McLaren's boss, the penalty should be in the form of reduced wind tunnel time by 20% of reducing the cost cap for Red Bull in 2023, in addition to the $5 million that is going to be reduced for all teams. The overspend breach and possibly the procedural breaches constitute cheating by offering a significant advantage across technical, sporting, and financial regulations. We don't feel a financial penalty alone would be a suitable penalty for an overspend breach or a serious procedural breach, said Brown in the leaked letter. Now, it's evident that Red Bull's rivals are furious with the breach the Austrian team has caused, but in reality, it's very unlikely that we'll see the deduction of the championship of Verstappen or any harsh penalty in terms of deduction of points. So, what is the next move for the FIA? The governing body can offer Red Bull something that is called an Accepted Breach Agreement, or ABA. With this offer, Red Bull are practically signing a sheet that says they have breached the cap and they are likely to pay a financial fine for it. If they refuse to do this, which would be quite illogical from their side given the backlash they are currently receiving from their rivals, then the case would go to a panel. This panel is constituted of 6 to 12 judges that are going to bring justice to Red Bull, and in this case, the deduction of points is a likely outcome. Apart from that, a public reprimand and suspension from one or more stages of a competition are also very likely outcomes of Red Bull's budget cap. However, it's worth noting that the most important thing in this case is to determine where Red Bull spent the money that spilled over the budget cap limit. Also, it is very important to note that the FIA still hasn't confirmed the amount of money that Red Bull had overspent, as the $1 to $2 million that is circulating around the media is just a rumored sum of money. What do you think is next for Red Bull and Mercedes regarding this matter? Do you think the Brackley-based team is ready to commit an intentional budget cap breach if the punishment for it will be a financial one? Let us know in the comments below.